The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire update video. Alright my friends, in this video, I will be delivering some very good news as well as some bad news, unfortunately. The first thing I want to do is discuss the great news, which has to do with the new Jon Snow sequel series that's in development at HBO. As I'm sure most of you know by now, HBO as well as Kit Harington are developing a Jon Snow show set in Westeros based on what is happening with this character after the events of the original series Game of Thrones. As you all know, at the end of Game of Thrones, we saw Jon Snow, Ghost, and the small faction of wildlings heading north of the Wall for a destination unknown. Now, according to George R. R. Martin, Mr. Harington wants to make a series about the adventures of Jon Snow. As of right now, no one really knows what the show will be about. The one thing we do know is Mr. Harington brought the idea to HBO himself. Not only was he the one who wants to make the show, but he also brought on his own writers and directors to help him make this idea of his into a reality. Now, before the information was even announced, I'd been saying for months that I believe a lot of the actors and actresses from Game of Thrones would eventually wish they were in Westeros once again. Although some of them did want a break from Game of Thrones, after working on the show for nearly a decade, I knew that one day they would be ready to come back. Now, I don't mean for this to sound negative, but Game of Thrones will most likely be the biggest thing some of them will ever work on. I mean, it still is the most successful show in the history of television, so it's no wonder that would be the case. Unfortunately, for some of these actors, they might never be in something this recognizable again. It's one of the reasons why it was so hard for Kit Harington to have to walk away from Jon Snow. It had become such a big part of his identity, which is very understandable. A lot of athletes go through this same exact thing whenever they have to step away from their game. Well, we're now starting to find out that a lot of the actors from Game of Thrones are more than ready to come back to Westeros. Since many of them were still alive at the end of the show, that door is still open for them to make an appearance in some form or fashion in this new Jon Snow series. Maisie Williams, who was Arya Stark, has already more or less said she would be interested in showing back up in Westeros again. Well, now she's not the only one on record who has said this. In a recent article, we found out there is several more actors who want to step back into their roles again. Gwendolyn Christie, whose fan-favorite character Brienne survived the bloody series, said to Newsweek, "Brienne is incredibly close to my heart, and I would relish any opportunity to revisit her." Then, another one of the actors basically said the same thing. John Bradley, who was Jon's best friend Samwell, left the door open as well. He said, "I haven't spoken to anybody about the Jon Snow sequel, but if somebody wants to send a script my way, I'd be interested to read it." Now, believe me when I say this, I know for a fact they're not the only ones who are feeling that way. We just haven't had a chance to hear what the other actors think about the new show. As of right now, we might see Jon Snow, Arya Stark, Brienne, and Samwell again. They're all still alive and interested in what might be happening in Westeros after the events of the original series. I don't know about all of you, but Game of Thrones Season 9 is starting to look more and more like it could actually become a reality. We're now only a few ingredients away from actually making this happen. Now, I believe HBO is watching, and their eyes are on the fans' feedback. So if you really want this show to happen, you gotta sound off in the comment section and let HBO know that you want to see more Game of Thrones. I'm sure they want to know if there's any real interest in the Jon Snow show. Don't hesitate to say that you're ready for more, because I know I am. As always, I will let you know if any new information is announced regarding this show. Now, let's get on to the bad news. Unfortunately, George R. R. Martin had a message for his fans that wasn't as exciting. Now, the good thing is he does seem to be fine, and as long as it stays that way, it shouldn't have any effect on the successor shows or even his writing on The Winds of Winter. Have a listen for yourself.
Hi guys, this is George R. R. Martin coming to you via video rather than my usual posts on NotABlog, because I'm away from my computer and I'm here in a hotel room in Los Angeles. As you may know from my post on NotABlog before I departed on this trip, I had a trip to the West Coast, starting at San Diego Comic-Con, for the big panel on House of the Dragon, the new successor show to Game of Thrones. And that was to be followed by a week in Los Angeles where I had a lot of meetings and I had 2 big premieres and then a few other things. But the best laid plans of mice and men, as Robert Burns once said. San Diego went well, although with COVID raging in San Diego County and California in general, I decided to be very cautious and conservative. I did the panel, and that was a lot of fun, and it's online. Many of you can see it there. But I skipped all of the parties. I did not go on the convention floor, and I canceled my in-person autographing, so I did sign hundreds of books and comic books and posters to sell or give away, so my signature was available at Comic-Con. And I went out for a few meals, and that was fine. And then we drove up to Los Angeles for the second leg of this trip. Well, a funny thing happened, and the first day in Los Angeles, yesterday, I woke up and tested positive for COVID. You may have heard that by now. I guess rumors have a way of spreading out on the internet. And yes, I am positive for COVID. It came up. I was as startled as any of you because I did not really think I had any symptoms or very, very minor symptoms. I was sniffling a little. And that's pretty much still where I am. This is the second day. I'm still sniffling a little and occasionally coughing. But mostly I feel fine. But I was hoping it was a false positive. We took the test a second time. We took the test a third time, a different kind of test. And all of them give the same result, that I am indeed positive. And what that means, of course, is I can't do most of the things that I was planning to do here in Los Angeles. I'm quarantined. And even more sadly, my wife Paris, some of my fantastic minions like Sid and Rhea and Dahlia and Elias, who came with me to assist me and be part of these premieres. Since they had been exposed to me, they also had to quarantine because otherwise they could be spreaders, even though all of them are negative. So that's where we are now. But I didn't want to leave the matter unaddressed. I wanted to say a few words about it. Honestly, it's a mystery to me how in the world I got this, because I am positive, but everybody around me is negative. And all of the people I ate with in San Diego, all of the people who assisted me from here and there, all of them are negative. I'm the only positive person in this particular group. But it is what it is, I guess. And I'm fully, I don't take any chances with that. I've been very careful. I'm fully vaccinated, and I've had 2 booster shots, and I got the best mask that one could possibly get, and wore it in all public settings. The only exceptions being when I was actually sitting on that panel in Hall H, and when I was eating, because they haven't figured out how to do a mask yet that'll enable you to eat through it. But this virus is tricky, so here I am. I feel a little sniffly, but really nothing bad. I've had worse colds, so I hope it will stay that way for the duration of its run. And that after this quarantine period, I will, be able to resume and do a few things at the tail end, and then head on back to Santa Fe to catch up on all the emails and resume work on the Winds of Winter and my numerous other projects.